Starcraft. Hey guys, so I don't think I really need to tell you that you should play this game or not, but it is just, I think it really is the best RTS I've ever played. I'm kind of, I prefer things like I grew up playing Red Alert 2, Civilization a bit. Starcraft is just, it really is in a league of its own. It definitely was made during that time of peak PC gaming in the 90s, when the PC had its really handful of really core great games. The thing that strikes me most about StarCraft, and I would actually say that it is a perfect game in the sense that it has 3 different factions and each one is actually perfectly balanced against one another. And you can see the flow of combat where the build-up of one strategy of a certain type of soldier or class will then go head-to-head with the build-up of another type of soldier from a different faction. It's just insane how optimized this game is. The number of classes is insanely varied and fun. Each one has a bunch of character and attitude. The animations are obviously dated but have a lot of soul and style to them and are a ton of fun to watch. The story in this game obviously isn't the thing that you're coming for. It really feels honestly like a parody of the Halo games, even though this came out before it, which I'm sure Halo must have taken at least some inspiration from this game because it is very similar, except for the fact that all the Space Marines have Texas accents and are hyper-military space troopers-esque setting. What I found pleasantly surprising is that the story for the alien races was actually very intense and personal, which eventually branches off into the story about Kerrigan, which makes a very compelling, interesting, distinct tragedy that really comes out of nowhere in a game that I wasn't really taking seriously at all. I have to tell you though, this game's gameplay, just from playing campaign, it had me glued to my computer screen up until 1 a.m. almost every weekday. It was insanely fun and insanely addictive. Honestly, if someone wants to analyze the addiction factor of video games, this is the game to study because it is insanely addictive and insanely fun as well. But yeah, it's a classic game. Playing it in 2020, still one of the best RTS I've ever played. I definitely think my favorite class to play as was definitely the carrier for the Protoss. It was just so addictive to try and build up as many of those little drone ships and have them fly around and deploy them. The music is also really good as well. It's serviceable to create atmosphere. You don't really notice it a lot, but it is there and it is present and it does enough. I was able to play a bit of StarCraft 2 after this. I feel it's not quite as good as the first one, simply because they added some new units and classes and changed the graphical style of the game to make it more realistic. And while the characters were actually well done and interesting, I felt that the changes they made simply added more unnecessary things and actually imbalanced the game. I don't know how they got this lightning in a bottle back in the 90s, but it really is an incredible thing. Anyway, I don't really have much else to say about this except that this is an amazing game. If you haven't played it, please do. And the story itself actually becomes a lot more complex, intricate, and very emotional near the end of the game. And I would 100% recommend this game. It's a classic and you've got to play it, and it holds up. Anyway guys, I'll see you later.